I'm now making my way over to the town centre. Now this is what we would call a small provincial town of less than 100,000 inhabitants, and here's the new theatre complex. The last Doge of Venice, the one who had to surrender to Napoleon, was called Doge Manin. Another Manin, Daniele Manin, I don't know if they were related, led a revolt against the Austrians in 1848. The Venetian Republic was re-established, but they had to surrender about a year later. The British were sympathetic to the Venetians and could have helped, but this was spoken against by the British consul named Dawkins.
Giuseppe Girardista.
We've now reached the old city gate on this side of Udine, and this is why I've been speaking about Daniele Manin. His tomb is in the precincts of the Ducal Palace in Venice. So it's just a short walk now down via Daniele Manin, and that will bring us to the centre of Udine, Piazza della Libertà. And here we see straight away the column with the winged lion of St. Mark. Two giant statues there which remind me of the giants outside the Ducal Palace in Venice. This building along the side of the piazza is known as the Porticato di San Giovanni. There is a seated statue of peace which was donated by the Austrian Emperor to commemorate the acquisition by Austria of Udine. The broader arch at the centre of the Porticato houses the Cappella di San Giovanni and is now a war memorial. Udine was annexed to Venice in 1420. On the other side of the square is the Palazzo della Loggia, what we would perhaps call the town hall. It dates from 1450 and was rebuilt in 1876 after a fire. It is described as typically Venetian Gothic in form, was designed by Bartolomeo della Sistine to a design by the Udinese goldsmith Logia del Lionello. It is usually known as the Logia del Lionello. What a lovely space to shelter from the rain or the sun, or indeed just to relax in. And what a lovely square to have as your city centre. The clock tower, 1527, was built to resemble the one in St. Mark's Square in Venice. Up the hill behind the Porticato is the Castello, and that may be approached through this arco by Palladio in 1556. The view from the square is down that street there or that street there, and the view in the square might be something like that. But there's the bell calling us, the bell from the Campanile or bell tower just there, the bell tower of the cathedral, and I think perhaps we should go down and have a look at that just now. And just to briefly note that the bell tower is built on top of a baptistry, the white marble at the bottom there. The main construction of the church seems to date from the 14th century, though it was given what some people termed a Baroque makeover in the 18th century. At the back of my mind all the time is that today is the 24-hour rail strike, but then I'm beginning to think, well, it started at 9 o'clock yesterday evening, so in theory it should finish at 9 o'clock this evening. In that case, surely I could get a train at 9 or after and get to Venice this evening rather late, if I could get on the train. After I've finished here, I must go down to the railway station and make some enquiries and assess the situation. At the end of the transepts are to be found large tombs of the Manin family. I mean, even if it was after 12 when I got to Venice, at least I'd be there ready for the morning. No, I'm usually in bed for 9:30, but surely this is a special occasion. Any frescoes you see may be by Giambattista Tiepolo, as is an altarpiece representing Saints Hermanagorus and Fortunatus, which I believe is this one. The transepts and choir are by Domenico Rossi in the early 1700s, and I'm getting a bit out of my depth here, but that curtain there is very baroque to my mind and makes this whole area seem like a stage set. We've got that painted ceiling, we've got this giant assemblage here, which I believe is probably where they keep the relics of Saint Fortunatus and Hermanagorus, and then we've got the carved choir stalls. We've then got a very elaborately carved altar with a bishop hiding underneath it. Perhaps I'd better not say any more. A nice painted organ there over the north doorway. There's also one over the south doorway. Looking next at the west doorway, here we have the paintings on the wall there. They were a lot earlier than Tiepolo. It must have been very nice to see churches that were painted all over in colours like that. We'll look next at the baptistry, which, if you remember, the bell tower is built on top of. This also was frescoed on all surfaces. These are by Vitali da Bologna, 1349. And again, it must have been quite nice to see the whole building painted in those pictures. I may have mentioned Saint Hermagorus and Saint Fortunitas several times, and said that their relics were kept in this cathedral. Well, I think that's where they kept in there in the baptistry. And this looks like a more modern addition to the premises.